everyone to this week's CybHER Conversation brought to you by Peraton. CybHER is a program out of Dakota State University in Madison, South Dakota that works to motivate, empower, and educate girls and women in cybersecurity. Before we get started, I do want to remind everyone that if you want to go ahead and ask a question throughout today's session, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So now let me introduce you to our guest for this evening. Priya is a security technologist at Telstra's Security Operations Center. She started her journey about 2 years ago after completing her master's degree from the University of Melbourne. Since the days at university, she's always had the innate propensity towards cybersecurity, which led her to her pathway of pursuing research in the domain. So feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Annabelle, for the nice, brief description and introduction about me. So right now I'm working currently in Telstra, and I had to be precise about my full name, I would say Priya Gnanasekaran. That's how you pronounce it, because we were already having a conversation how to pronounce my name. So just in case, you can call me Priya. And so I started my journey in cyber, I would say, as I was studying in University of Melbourne. So I slowly channelized my research into cyber. And it was more of when I was in uni, my research was related to anomaly detection, especially in DDoS attack in IoT devices. And then I was really sure that this is what I wanted to pursue and further in my career, like everything related to cyber and not more of just IT. And also during the journey, I did understand that cybersecurity is not just one single domain. It's in fact an amalgamation of network security or other parts of IT as well, which makes it more, I would say, more in-depth and more not. It would combine together to make it as a one whole domain as cybersecurity. Also these days, machine learning or AI adding on top of cybersecurity is being really vastly seen, and most of the research are also going on in that domain, I would say. Yeah. So, and my journey in Telstra, I started as a graduate. So after graduating from university, so we do have graduate programs here to start in a company, and that's how I got into. And in Telstra, where I was working, I would say I was lucky to get into the graduate program because it offers you a wide variety of exposure into different teams, which not organization allow you to do that. So I know studying in university would be different when you get into a practical world where you're going to implement all your knowledge which you have learned from past few years. So when I entered into software engineering, where it was combined with DevOps and security. And then I slowly pivoted into DevSecOps through further journey. And then I got into Telstra Security Operations Center, where we provide continuous monitoring for most of the enterprise clients over here. So yeah, that's pretty much from me.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It's fascinating because you normally don't think of DevSecOps, like transitioning from DevOps to DevSecOps and then to other stuff. So it's interesting. Could you tell us a little bit about DevSecOps?
Okay, so like that's what I would. That transitioning was interesting, and at the same time, I could connect the dots because if you see, first it started from DevOps and then DevSecOps, and then it went to SecOps. So with DevSecOps, it's mainly we interact with lots of software engineering teams. So like I said, cybersecurity by itself is not a domain. It's more of other domains, securing other parts of the IT. So it was shifting left. That's what we call DevSecOps, which means in the DevOps pipeline. So in DevOps, what we do is continuous integration and continuous development, which enables software engineers to push their product continuously and without any delays. At the same time, it's tested. But are they secure? So we wanted to make sure that that is secure, whatever they're pushing into production. And before it goes to the customer, we want to automate security as well in it. And in most of the cases, which was previously implemented previously than DevSecOps, I would say. So in those cases, security was only a concern at the end. So which makes it even harder, because at the end, if it doesn't pass the test, in few cases they do release it, which is not really recommended, and in few cases it becomes a bottleneck over there. So that's why we don't want it to happen at the end. And in fact, we want to make sure that right from the beginning, when the developers start developing the code, they take security in mind and practice in their codes the security measures and follow those, so that security is a major concern right from the beginning of the software development lifecycle. Hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you did. And I think it's really important, because I don't know if DevSecOps existed until maybe even a decade ago. Maybe if they did, it wasn't very widely known, because security has only started becoming a major component in the last, I want to say, 5 years. Even now, a lot of people are still having to advocate to include security into their products, to integrate security into their products. So, and what you just said about integrating security into the code as they are developing it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it makes it more secure as well. Also, it's just not implementing the process. It's more of a change in mindset for the developer as well, because while he's writing the code, he'll be security conscious. So, for example, he should make sure that there won't be any SQL injections, which would be possible to do after the code has been implemented. That's just an example. Like that, you can take all the security measurements which you could avoid at the early stage of coding itself. And I'm happy to see lots of companies are implementing it slowly, DevSecOps.
Yeah. I attended the RSA conference last year. It's this huge conference, wonderful, full of people and security, and I was amazed. And there were a lot of sessions on DevSecOps. Of course, I had no idea what it was, but it seemed more geared toward people working in there rather than an introductory session into that. So what you just said helped me understand a little bit more about DevSecOps. So hopefully I'll be able to attend more sessions on that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So what was the most exciting thing that you've worked on in DevSecOps?
I'd say DevSecOps is relatively new, as you said. So I'd say the exciting part or the challenging part was asking all the teams to implement this right from the early stage, because most of the teams are not used to it and it's something new. So implementing it at the early stage in the CI/CD pipeline was really a challenge for most of them. And also there has to be so many training programs available in order for them to get a security mindset or security perspective in the coding itself. So I would say we did have a lot of training programs and materials to help them go through that journey. So implementing DevSecOps by itself was challenging and exciting.
Now you work as a security technologist in the SOC. So how does this DevSecOps or did your experience working in the DevSecOps help you for this role?
Yes, so I'd say that transitioning in DevSecOps, I did get into the security part of the DevOps. So I did slowly got introduced into security. And at the same time, you start getting to know about what are the vulnerabilities that's possibly seen or most commonly seen out there and what all we can avoid. And transitioning into SecOps, what I do right now is we pretty much monitor all the alerts and all the anomalies, and we detect and we investigate and triage if it's an incident or not to the customers. So it always keeps you on your toes, and you'll be eyes on glass all the time. So at that part, I would say in regards to the different enterprise, we do have different enterprise customers. So at times you do see good and bad security practices. So you'll be like, okay, they have implemented everything. And then you go like, oh, they could have done this better. So they could have, if they have implemented security earlier in their process, they wouldn't have had an incident. So, you have noticed those kind of things in SecOps currently. And in SecOps, every day you deal with lots of, I would say we call it alerts, so which are mostly anomaly detection methods where we find abnormal or malicious activities, and then we raise it and investigate it. So it's really interesting to look through different kinds of them, and you'll be dealing with different devices, like network devices. So it's interesting.
What initially got you interested in cybersecurity? Was there like a particular incident or something that gave you that initial, oh my God, this is so exciting. I want to learn more. I want to do more in this field. Was there anything like that?
Yeah, like I would say as a student, I was confused roaming around in the parts of IT or domains of IT, not sure what to follow. And I was still exploring my domains in cybersecurity. So cybersecurity and other fields as well. And when I got into cyber, I was like, okay, there is a purpose to it. It's more like avoiding the bad actors or avoiding the hackers. At the same time, you get to protect so many people out there. So it was more of a meaningful and interesting domain, I'd say, which caught my attention. And especially while my research thesis, as I said, was in cyber. So that really caught my interest, and I started channelizing to it. And since that was more of DDoS attack prevention and prediction, so and with the growth of IoT devices, as you see, there are lots and lots of attacks happening because not many IoT devices, when they manufacture itself, have any security protocols. So which makes it easier for the bad actors or the hackers to access it and make use of it as a bot and create DDoS attacks and get into the network easily. So that was really interesting to get the anomalies and then predict. And in future, we could prevent it because there are not many procedures to prevent a DDoS attack. So yeah, that's how I would say got my interest.
Okay. Has your experience working with DevSecOps changed your perspective on current events or current breaches in security?
So in DevSecOps, what we do is we try to learn and update with the current hacking breaches, or even the latest update with the CVEs. So whatever we get, we try to include and inform the developers that, okay, this has happened, so how can we protect those? And we need to implement the snippet in the code. So those kind of things but more than DevSecOps, I would say that's more actively integrated in SecOps, because for SecOps, you need to be more vigilant, because every day there will be lots of threats happening and lots of malicious actors out there trying to get into the system. And SecOps is the endpoint, I would say, is the first place where they see these kind of activities. So it's good to action it as soon as you see, and that's how you try to prevent it. So that's why with the more data breaches occurring, and like you could have seen recently, there was a Facebook and LinkedIn data breach as well. So lots of data breaches occurring, and especially with COVID, few companies have been compromised as well. So what we do is we investigate and get to know why that incident took place at the first place, which shouldn't have done. I mean, not for our enterprise clients or customers, but as a whole, whenever there is a data breach out there in the world, or whenever there is a compromise out there. So we do try to look at it, and if we get the logs, we try to investigate for the customers and then resolve it. So, and then we take the security protocols to avoid those in future, or implement it so that other companies are not exposed as well.
So have you found that sharing your results with other companies, then do the other companies reciprocate what you're trying to do? Do they inform you of their different?
So that's why we do have a lot of enterprise customers. So it's a globally providing, we provide services, security monitoring services for all around the world. And most of the customers and companies, so the clients, they'll be willing to share and adapt it. So, but if there are new, a few companies have reached out to us asking, we might be under attack, can you please look into it? So yeah, so that's how it goes.
I mean, it's a good thing that they're able to share, or they're willing to share their experiences, because most companies do not like to, and it's refreshing.
Yeah, and especially if a company is under attack, the first thing they would be like, we don't want to expose our data anymore. So it'll be more of a defensive approach for them. And yeah, it's a little hard to convince and get there, but it's more of a higher level, or the CTO or the CISO level talk out there.
Okay. So if someone wanted to, if there was a young person who wanted to get into DevSecOps or SecOps, what would you tell them are the different, what kind of classes they could take, what kind of courses they could take to, get into that stream?
Right. So I'd say first, like not everyone would like what they end up doing. So I'd say first trial it, because it's always good to learn it based on trialing and practically applying it. So find for courses that gives you labs, especially, because that gives you a hands-on experience, and that's what you would be doing out there in the organizational company after you graduate. And these days, I would say there are heaps of online courses which provide that, but doing OWASP foundations, that would really give you an idea of security, application security, and all of cybersecurity as well. And apart from that, I'd say there is offensive security, so courses which you could do. And if you're really interested in pen testing, go for it, because pen testing by itself is different, but that does give you a knowledge in DevSecOps, or even to see the threats. So that's more deeper, but it's always getting to deep waters than being on the shallow waters.
I like your advice. It's more like a trial and error thing to see what you actually want to do, what you want to, what you like.
Exactly, because you don't want to end up working for 3 years or 5 years and hate what you do, because that's going to be hard way down the road. So I'd say that's why look for courses where you can practically implement what you learn at the end of the course.
Okay. So at your job, what does your day-to-day look like? Do you know how they show you in movies, do you deal with these like high stressful situations every day, or are there some mellow days and some busy days?
Okay, I'd say with DevSecOps, it was more of a 9-to-5 schedule. It was all fine, and it was normal, but it was more of implementing security. But after I came into SecOps, pretty much it kept me on my toes, because we do have 24/7 monitoring. So we work on shifts. So we work on rosters and shifts that makes us go through lots of alerts every single day. So it's not every day you would have an incident, but you don't want to miss out any incident. It's like, for example, I would say it's like a police officer out there. If he's thinking that there will be a crime today, he might not. So not every day you see a crime out there in the world, but one day when there will be crime, you have to be there, right? You have to protect. So it's the same case, I would say. Not every day we do have incidents, but you don't want to miss any of them. So you keeping on investigating, and you try to prevent what could possibly be an incident, which I would say is one of a good security monitoring system.
Yeah. So
but it's really interesting that every day you get to see different types of alerts pertaining to different network devices, and many clients have different logs. Like few of them would be giving out Windows log, few of them would be giving out Linux logs and Mac OS. And so that is really different. And with the network devices, it'll be Palo Alto, Cisco. So that diverse exposure, you could learn a lot.
So pre-COVID, did you get to travel for work, or?
Yes. So yeah, we were all working from office, but we do have like work from home day once in a week or something if you want to. But after COVID, I guess for past 8 months, we have been working from home. Yeah, and it has been an interesting year, I would say, especially for IT and cybersecurity, because if cybersecurity wasn't implemented correctly during COVID, it would have been really hard to work from home. So, and to be safe out there. So I would say that was really important, and COVID showed us the importance of IT and cybersecurity.
What has been the biggest accomplishment in your career so far?
Well, that's still to come. I don't see any of those as the biggest, but there have been milestones in the career, and yeah, a few times I've got appreciated for the work I've done by manager or even by customers. So I remember one of the customer had the clear text password in their logs. So I had to call it out saying, you're having a bad practice in your organization as such, because you're not allowed to have that. It's so simple, but you know how they are not following it. So yeah, and then they really acknowledged and they were like, yeah, thank you for that. And at the same time, we had to make sure that it's not exposed from our side. So I had to literally put asterisk and then say that, please hide it. So yeah, it's not an accomplishment as such, but that's, I would say, one of what I saw, that not many companies are having a good security posture, and it's really important. And yeah, apart from that, I did get accomplishments from the leaders or managers. Yeah, but like I said, there's a lot more to go.
Exactly, the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
So, are you a part of any groups or communities that gear more toward women in cyber?
Yeah, so we do have women in cybersecurity groups in Australia. So I'm part of those groups where you have conferences kept every once in a while, and there will be meetings. So it's Women in Cyber. And then AISA, so that's also an Australian cybersecurity initiative, I would say. So those are the wider communities. And apart from that, inside Telstra as well, we do have some groups or communities specifically for women. So let's say actively participating in those. And yeah, attending the events helps.
So has there been a mentor, or not many mentors, that have helped you, that have guided you in your career? And if you did, could you, or is there any advice that you would give to the young people on how to find those mentors?
Yeah, to find the mentors, I'd say network. It's not that easy to find the mentor, but at the same time, you might come across somebody in the company or in the organization or even at your university. You look at someone and you'll be like, okay, I want to be like them. And I want to ask them, how did you reach to this position? Or how did you come across all your journey? So, if you find someone like that, go reach out to them and talk to them. Mostly people are really nice and would want to talk about their journey and would want to let you through your journey as well, guide you through your journey. So I'd say, I definitely did and do have many good female mentors, and even there are male mentors who do appreciate and encourage women in cybersecurity and in IT as well. So from them, one advice they passed over to me was be resilient, because as a woman, it's really important to be resilient in the world out there. And also it's good to, from my experience also, I would say it's good to be flexible and adapt based on based on the kind of work you get. Because for me, I take up mostly every opportunity that comes my way, and later on I'm sure you could connect the dots. So don't think an opportunity as a waste of time or anything as such, because you never know where or on what you're going to implement that in future and how it might help in future. So that one, yeah, that's what I would say. And at the same time, network. Yeah, talk to people. Everyone is nice and they love to share their journey or give you their 2 cents on what it is.
Thank you so much for answering all our questions, Priya. I'm going to now turn it over to Annabelle.
I'll just echo what
Thanks,
Kanti said. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story, Priya. It's very eye-opening, even as me as a student, just learning more about the DevOps and SecOps side of things. So that was really informative for me to hear. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll for everyone to go ahead and fill out. We just want to know kind of a little bit about yourselves and your participation in today's conversation. We're so appreciative of your attendance, whether you're joining us live or whether you're watching this recording back. If you are watching this recording, we're hoping you can join us live for our next CybHER Conversations every Wednesday from 4 to 4:30 p.m. We have a great lineup schedule and we can't wait to share it with you all. Please be sure to follow us on our social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on our latest posts. You can always find more about CybHER through our website, cybher.org, for more information about our upcoming programs or upcoming conversations. So Priya, again, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some wonderful words of wisdom and advice, especially about the mentorship. We hope that everyone will join us next week as we welcome Melissa Benu. She is the Director of Engineering and has worked in nearly every software development role out there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And Priya, again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope everyone has...
Thank you. Thank you, Annabelle and Kanti. It was really a great pleasure to join you guys. And what you're doing is really great, and keep doing the amazing work because it'll attract more women into cyber, and then would inspire them to go out there in the world and work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Priya.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.